Hello, everyone. I'm AT Storm Track meteorologist Austin Haskins. Despite the fact we had breezy conditions and some extra clouds around on our Wednesday, we still had a really nice day with highs in the upper 60s to low to mid 70s. And we are in for another pleasant day with seasonable temperatures and a good amount of sunshine around. We are still looking at a very, and I mean a very isolated chance for a shower or two Friday evening. And then from Friday through really about the middle of next week, it's going to be feeling more like summer, especially Sunday through Wednesday of next week. I'll talk about that here coming up in a few minutes. Now, the good news is today is the wind is going to be lighter than yesterday, still out of the east and northeast, so that'll keep temperatures a little bit closer to average. But by tomorrow, although the winds will still be on the lighter side, note the direction out of the southeast to start, then turning more south to southwest. That's going to usher in some milder temperatures as we get into the day on Friday. And of course, we are still dealing with the elevated fire weather conditions across the area. Most of the area is in very high fire danger. Some of the data, according to the DNR website, is still putting at least a few counties in our area in the moderate category, but that's likely higher and will be increased as the newer data comes in for that. But nonetheless, high to very high fire danger across the area. Humidity levels today around 20% or so, and then the winds again will be a little bit better, but we're still going to deal with elevated, maybe in some cases, if the wind picks up enough, could approach critical fire weather conditions today. But as we get into the second half of the weekend and to start next week, we could be dealing with critical fire weather conditions across all of western Wisconsin. And again, we'll talk about that here in just a few minutes. But let's get you through the short term here with Future Track. A lot of sunshine again today. UV index up to about an 8. So have the sunscreen, the hat, sunglasses if you're going to be outdoors. Tonight, clear skies. Another cool night ahead with some frost possible if you are east of Highways 53, and especially if you are east of Highway 27. And then into tomorrow, a lot of sunshine again. By the afternoon, you start to notice the impacts of that cold front coming through. It's not going to drop temperatures at all, but it will increase the clouds. And you notice a couple spots of green that are going to show up here. It's not much, but it will be battling some drier air, so that's why I'm not overly sold that we're going to see anything from this other than the clouds. But a lot of the higher resolution data this morning was suggesting at least enough to warrant a 20% chance for a couple of sprinkles or light showers to track through. So it's nothing to cancel plans over, but you may have a few raindrops on your Friday evening, and then we're looking at sunny skies for your Saturday. And again, just a very, very low chance of a shower or two very late tomorrow afternoon to tomorrow evening. The 10% chance you see on Friday during the day, that will be after really about 4 or 5 p.m. And then the slight chance will be Friday evening, really through about 1 or 2 a.m. Now, we may see a return of a slight chance towards the middle of next week, but we'll worry about that once we get closer in time. So your hometown forecast today, highs generally in the upper 60s and low 70s once again. Mid 60s, you get up towards Medford. This is a little bit closer to average this time of the year. The average in Eau Claire today is 67. For tonight, 30s and low 40s. Again, warmer west, a little bit cooler to the east with some frost developing in those typical colder spots. Highs tomorrow, if you're east of Highway 53, generally in the middle and upper 70s, maybe we touching 80 in Black River Falls. But along and west of there, we should at least make it to about 80, 81 degrees, maybe a few spots reaching 82. And then on Saturday, with a light northerly wind, you can see north of our area, it'll be a little bit cooler, but most of us, though, will be in the mid to upper 70s with some spots, again, reaching those lower 80s. Now, we talked about this over the last few days, especially early in the week. And Matt had talked about this in his weather discussion on Monday, how we started the week in a omega block weather pattern. So we've been in this blocking pattern the last few days, which is why it's been warm and dry. And we had that omega, you can see that the shape right here almost looks like a horseshoe in a sense, but you have high pressure over our area, which is why we've been warm and dry. And then you have two lows, one to the east and one to the west. And that's where you have the cooler and the wetter weather. Now, this weather pattern will be returning as we head into the weekend and early next week, along with a ridge building in the jet stream. So this will be more expanded to the north, which is why we're going to warm things up. But what we're in right now, it's a similar concept. It's got a different name and a different look to it. This is called a Rex block pattern. This is where you have high pressure on top of a low pressure, essentially. So you got a little bit of a different shape to the jet stream, but the idea is the same. Near and underneath the high pressure, that's where it's going to be warm and dry, and then of course the cooler and wetter weather underneath the low pressure. So that's what we're in to end the week, but then we're going to return to that omega block pattern as we get into the weekend and into early next week. And we also have to watch the forecast closely Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. And it's not because of the heat. We'll see highs mid to upper 80s. But it's still going to be very dry, and the winds are going to be increasing. So that's why I talked about a few minutes ago. We could be approaching critical fire weather conditions those days. And I wouldn't be totally surprised if we did see some red flag warnings issued for fire weather issues there. So we'll keep you updated. But again, just really until we get any meaningful precipitation and a pattern shift, try to avoid burning at all costs. Now, speaking of those longer term patterns, the latest 8 to 14 day outlook is starting to suggest that temperatures might start trending back a little bit closer to average. And you can see farther west, even a little bit cooler than average, and signs that we could see a pattern shift, maybe back to slightly wetter than average conditions, which at this point we will certainly take any rain that we can get.